Welcome to the Rosary Team Podcast. Today, we're undertaking a deep dive into an object that is, well, it's so much more than just religious art. We are looking at the profound heritage and the rich symbolism, all wrapped up in one specific Marian devotion, Our Lady of Ilige. You might know her as Our Lady of the Maronites.
And for anyone listening who's curious about Eastern Christian history, this deep dive is,
Yeah.
it's essential, really. We're using your sources to explore the very heart of the Maronite Church's identity, all through this one ancient icon.
Right.
Our mission today is to go beyond just the surface image and to understand its intricate Syriac iconography and its deep historical context.
And if you look at the big picture of the Maronite Church, you see this incredible lineage. It's rooted so firmly in the West Syriac Antiochene tradition, and it traces an unbroken connection to the Pope all the way back to the 4th century.
That's an incredible history.
It is, and think about this. Even today, parts of their liturgy use Aramaic, the very language Christ spoke. So this icon, it's a direct connection to that ancient world. It is, like our sources say, a piece of living Syriac heritage.
Absolutely. And to understand the icon, we really have to start with its location. Its origins are traced to the patriarchal Church of Ilige, which is a small town in the Byblos area of Jabal Lebanon.
And this wasn't just any church, was it?
No, not at all. This wasn't some minor parish. Ilige was historically the former seat of the patriarchs of the entire Maronite Church.
Wow. Okay, so that makes this icon not just important, but utterly central to the religious and I guess the political identity of the community throughout history. It's a foundational piece.
It is. And the history of the icon itself, it's almost like a detective story. The original painting is dated by experts to around the 10th century, but when they came to restore it in the 20th century, they found it wasn't just old, it was hidden.
Hidden. How do you mean hidden?
Well, over the centuries, especially as Western influence grew in the region, the icon had been covered and repainted.
You're kidding.
No, with several successive layers of varnish and paint. And these later editions had, well, they significantly altered the features, making them appear what the sources call Latinized, much more European in style.
Wait, so the earlier Maronite community applied layers that essentially obscured their own original ancient Syriac aesthetic? Was that intentional cultural adaptation or just a restoration that went astray over time?
It seemed to have been more of a gradual cultural blending, but the preservationists in the 20th century, they realized what had been lost. They took on this painstaking work of carefully stripping away those later layers of paint layer by layer until they revealed the pure, original 10th century Syriac style underneath.
A rediscovery, then.
A complete cultural and artistic rediscovery.
That detail about scraping back centuries of Europeanized art to find the authentic kernel, that really highlights the resilience of this tradition. It immediately connects this specific piece to a much older, pure visual tradition.
To the Syriac style, yes, the one that connects all the way back to the famous Rabula manuscript.
The 6th century manuscript.
Exactly. And for listeners who might not be familiar, the Rabula manuscript is a foundational illustrated Syriac gospel book from the 6th century. It basically sets the visual language for the whole tradition.
So the fact that the Ilige icon shows direct continuity with a work that's 600 years older, that just demonstrates profound theological and historical consistency.
A pure reflection of the Antiochene visual identity.
And when you place this icon alongside the other major pillars of the Maronite tradition that our sources highlight, I'm thinking of devotions to Saint Charbel, Saint Rafka, the theological work of Patriarch Estefan Douaihi, or the martyrdom of the Misaki brothers. You see that Our Lady of Ilige she's universally understood as a foundational symbol.
She's central to the very definition of Maronite spirituality.
Okay, so moving from the history to the art itself, let's start decoding the iconography, because this is where the theology becomes visual, isn't it?
It is. The central composition is Mary supporting the Christ child on her lap. It's simple, but there's immense meaning packed right into that posture.
So much meaning.
Precisely. Mary is often referred to as the Ark or the Throne. One source captures this beautifully, describing how her hand literally became the throne of our Lord Jesus Christ. This composition is an immediate theological statement about her role in the Incarnation.
Now let's talk color, because this is a primary communication tool in iconography. Your sources present a slight but really fascinating variation on what the colors mean.
They do, and both interpretations are rooted in a profound truth. One view suggests Mary is clad in brown reddish robes, symbolizing her human nature, her earthly origin. This is then paired with a blue outer cope, symbolizing her participation in divinity or grace, which he gained through following Christ.
Okay, that makes sense. But what's the other perspective?
The other perspective, which is often tied more strictly to that 6th century Syriac school, it flips the emphasis slightly. They argue Mary's inner robes are deep blue, the color of the sky signifying divinity, and Christ's tunic is deep purple, which signifies royalty, emphasizing his kingship.
So whether the blue is on the inside or the outside, the message is really the same.
Exactly. The message is identical. This icon is communicating the union of Christ's humanity and divinity, and Mary's essential role as the bridge between the two, all just using color.
And there's more proof of the icon's antiquity, right, in the halos.
Yes, the halos. They were described as a simple, wide gold band, a definitive feature of Syriac iconography. And what's important here is actually what is missing.
What's missing is the overlay of Byzantine influence.
You've got it. In later Byzantine icons, Christ's halo invariably contains a cross, and Mary's halo has the Greek lettering for Mother of God. The Ilige icon is explicitly noted as being free of these additions.
So that simple gold ring is like an archaeological signpost?
It marks it as belonging to that earlier, purer Syriac style.
Right, this is where it gets really symbolic for me. The stars. We see two distinct star-like symbols on Mary's head and shoulder, and some scholars even suggest there's a third, less visible star.
Yes, the 3 stars. They're incredibly profound. They represent her enduring perpetual virginity before, during, and after the birth of Christ.
Wow.
They are cosmic symbols rooted in a deep theological commitment.
And if Mary is the recipient of the stars, she also gets that cosmic title, Morning Star, the star that announces the coming day.
Which then naturally leads to Jesus being titled the light of the world, the ultimate light that follows and fulfills the promise of the morning star. The complexity embedded in these simple visual elements is absolutely stunning.
It really is. It explains why this piece is so revered. If you are fascinated by the rich details of Syriac iconography and you want to delve deeper into this tradition, maybe even hold a piece of this ancient heritage in your hands, visit us at rosaryteam.com. You can explore the curated collections of sacred art and learn more about this incredible history.
Now, let's get to what is maybe the most technical, but arguably the most important part of the icon, the hand gestures.
This is where it becomes a literal textbook of Maronite theology.
It is. They are not simply waving or greeting.
No, these gestures convey a complex profession of faith for real.
Precisely. Let's start with the Christ child's right hand. It's raised in a blessing. If you look closely, 3 fingers, the thumb, the ring, and the pinky are joined together.
Okay.
This signifies the Holy Trinity, 3 persons in one God. The remaining 2 fingers, the index and middle, are held straight, and they signify the 2 natures of Christ, that he is both fully God and fully man.
That dual nature, the divine and the human, that was the central theological debate of the early church. It was codified in the 5th century by what we call the Chalcedonian formula. So the artist isn't just showing a blessing, they're visually articulating the highest level of Orthodox belief.
That's exactly right. He is shown as the Ponticrator, the creator and ruler of all, blessing everybody, even as an infant. And what's remarkable is that Mary's right hand performs the same catechism.
Wait, really? Mary's hand also declares the same Chalcedonian formula. Her 2 fingers and 3 fingers are also declaring that duality of Christ's divine and human natures.
Yes. Her gesture reiterates the very core truth of the icon. It's an undeniable visual commitment that the Maronite tradition holds to the full divine and human reality of Christ. The purpose of the icon is truly to catechize you, the viewer, in this fundamental tenet of the faith.
It just makes her role as the mother even more central. It's visual confirmation that she bore the one who is simultaneously God and man. And this ties back so beautifully to that quote from St. Ephrem, who was just a titan in the Syriac tradition.
It does, St. Ephrem stated. The first Eve, by her hearing of the serpent, gave the world death. The second Eve, by her hearing of the angel, gave the world life. Mary is the ultimate undoing of the fall.
The second Eve, bringing life through her obedience.
Exactly.
Looking at the aesthetic style one last time, our sources highlight the Eastern Syriac facial features of both figures. They convey a specific feeling described as a delicate, gentle, and transparent divine presence.
An approachable majesty.
I like that.
That gentleness, it also finds its voice in the poetic titles that are associated with Our Lady within the Syriac tradition. You can find them in works like the Cedro or the Maronite Funkitha.
And these titles are so evocative. They call her things like Mother of the Light, Ark of Mysteries,
Altar of the First Fruit.
and that lovely phrase, Joy of Motherhood. It really emphasizes her tenderness right alongside her theological power.
So if we connect all this to the bigger picture, Our Lady of Ilige is so much more than a historical artifact. She serves as this powerful, ancient reminder of the Maronite Church's theological grounding. Through the clear, symbolic language of Syriac iconography, the icon beautifully conveys the essential truths of the faith, the specific duality of Christ and Mary's perpetual virginity.
And I want you to reflect on that restoration process one last time. Just think about the incredible dedication it took in the 20th century to remove those later layers of paint, all those years of cultural blending, just to reveal the original 10th century aesthetic underneath.
A huge undertaking.
It is. That physical effort, the peeling back of history to find the true Syriac identity. It's the perfect metaphor for the resilience of the Maronite Church in preserving its unique Antiochene heritage through 1,000 years of pressure and change.
The survival of the pure Syriac form is truly a testament to the enduring importance of this devotion to the Maronite identity. It's a piece of art that actively teaches theology.
If you are interested in exploring more Maronite heritage, Syriac tradition, or these remarkable religious art collections, you can find a wealth of information at rosaryteam.com.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Thank you for listening to the Rosary Team Podcast.